Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I am up with another card tutorial for our Scrappy Advent calendar. Oh, we love Christmas so much. I really like this card. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Again, as per usual, I will put in the description box all of the measurements, but I'm making a fun rainbow card today. Now I'm using an older stamp set from Stampin' Up. I don't believe you can get it anymore. That will be the case for most of these videos. They're all old things from Stampin' Up, but you can always find similar stamps in different brands. Now, I'd already stamped out a unicorn and coloured it in because I was sort of playing around with something. So I'm going to just reuse that, so not to waste anything. And then I also stamped out a little mermaid, and then I've pulled out a little sentiment that says "You're growing up." So again, designed as birthday cards. But yeah, I really like how these turned out. So again, not my idea, totally cased from Pinterest. I should probably preface that for all my videos. None of these are original ideas that I have made so far. But, you know, I do a variation of a theme. I get ideas from Pinterest and then I play around with it. So this one I know was actually made by an awesome Stampin' Up! Demonstrator called Rochelle. I think I'll leave her links down below. She's fabulous. She does amazing cards, and I always love seeing what she's done. So I will link her down below. So what I have done is I've just cut out my strips of 7 pieces of coloured cardstock, and I'm just layering them up. Now I just used a thin strip of white cardstock to kind of anchor the design, and I'm just layering those up in kind of rainbow order, I guess. I don't think it is exactly rainbow order, but it was sort of as close as I could manage. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. And as I said, I've pulled out a variety. I'm just trying to use up my supplies. I think I've said this in my other videos. I'm trying to use up my cardstock and things like that I have, ribbon and whatnot, in my stash from when I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I've got quite a lot, so I am definitely trying to use that all up. And it's going well so far, I have to say. I haven't purchased any new sort of card making supplies in a long time, which is good. Now, as is always the case, even though I cut everything sort of as square as I could at the time, I did need to even up once I'd stuck down all of the individual pieces of strips of cardstock. I just needed to trim up the edges to make it a bit sort of straighter. So I'm doing that, and then I'm just going to put it all together. So I think I've got a white card base for this one, and I just cut the paper, Stampin' Up! Paper, in half, which I think is A4. I just cut it in half and then fold that. I could use a bone folder, I could use my scoreboard, but I don't. I'm all about trying to make card making kind of easy in a sense. I don't like to make things too difficult for myself, so I don't always get out my scoreboard. I do sometimes when it's appropriate, but I don't very often. So now I'm going to stick down the rainbow background onto my white cardstock and then kind of put the rest of it together. Like the little embellishmenty bits to make it fun. I really like this card. I think I haven't made all the cards yet for December. I think I'm halfway. I think I've made 6. And so far out of the 6 that I've already made, this is my favourite one by far. And I'm glad I made a spare one for me. So I'm very happy with this. So as you can see, I'm just using double-sided tape. Again, you could use wet glue, whatever you would normally use to make your cards. This is a great way to use up scraps, by the way. And you could totally do it not make it rainbow, but with, you know, different pattern papers and things like that. I think would be super cool as well. Now I've got my little round die cuts that I've cut out using stitched circle dies. Oh, I'm just doing some colouring. So I pulled out, again, these are Stampin' Up! What are they called? Stampin' Write markers, I think. But you could use any colouring supplies that you have. You could use pencils, texters, whatever you've got, Copic markers. You know, they're all variations of a theme. It was just to add a little bit of colour to my mermaid, and I've already coloured in the hair and the horn of the unicorn. So I'm just colouring in the hair of the mermaid, and then I'll add just a little bit of colour to the scales. So I don't colour in the scales, but I just sort of go over the lines of the scales on the mermaid's tail. Just, again, a little bit of definition, a little bit of interest, and the colours they're not the exact ones from the cardstock, even though the good thing I like about Stampin' Up! Is they make all matching things. So like you can get ink and paper and blends, which are like alcohol markers, and these Stampin' Write markers, all in the same shade and the same color, and they all match. And that is a great thing about Stampin' Up. I don't have all of the markers and the textures, so I just kind of pulled what I did have, and it's close enough you would never notice. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's very therapeutic colouring, actually. Oh, that's why, just as a side note, I stamped all my images first. So I stamped them using an archival black ink. The one that I have is Stampin' Up, but you could use Memento or anything like that. And I just let it dry. And what I find is if you let it dry, I can almost use anything to colour with and it won't run. If it's not quite dry, it will definitely run. But I find as long as it's dry, I can sort of get away with it. If I was doing big colouring, then that would be a different story. But because I'm only adding a touch of colour to these stamped images, then it's a bit more flexible. Right, are you enjoying December so far? I think this card is probably going up pretty early in December, so I hope you're enjoying our series and you're loving our Scrappy Advent calendar. If this is the first year that you are joining us, thank you. We love doing our Scrappy Advent calendars, and it forms, I guess, my sister and my Christmas presents to each other. So we don't buy large Christmas presents because we kind of spend our budget on an advent calendar. And I can't tell you how fun it is to open a gift every day. You remember doing it when you were a kid, even if it was just chocolate. And as an adult, it's just as amazing, let me tell you. And still just as hard to only open one thing a day. Now, I have pulled out some embroidery thread or embroidery floss in a white, and I've just used one strand just to add a little bit of extra kind of texture into the background. And then I'm pulling in some ribbon that I've got in my stash. This is Stampin' Up! Ribbon, doesn't actually match any of the colours that I'm using, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of extra interest in the background, I guess. Using up my supplies, but also I just find, I just think it looks good when it just has a little bit extra going on there. Also for this unicorn, I had already cut out the unicorn and coloured it in before making this video because I was playing around with a few different ideas. I didn't want to waste it, so I just popped it up on some foam onto the white circle die cut. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it looks. So now I'm popping up the white one on foam. I've stuck the ribbon behind where it goes. I've laid up the ribbon so there's kind of a grey colour and like a shiny blue. It's got a bit of like sparkle in it. And then the sentiment, which is on pink, which I think is super fun. So the same coloured pink as the top cardstock in the rainbow. And the sentiment, which as I said, says, "You're grown up," I think. And I've just kind of hung that off the side of the circle and just lined it up in between the blue and the kind of mint green colour. And yeah, I'm really happy with these cards. And I'm going to do the same thing to this one. So layer up, I've put the white thread, or I'm putting the white thread on, just unwinding a little bit extra. I recently went through all of my embroidery floss and sorted it all out. I had a few from kits that I hadn't got organised and stuff yet, so I'm just, I went through and I got it all organised and I cleaned it all up, and now my embroidery thread looks fabulous, and it's helping me to use it more often. I'm finding I'm using it a lot more in scrapbook layouts at the moment, which is fun. Also, I'm doing a lot of stitching cut files, so that helps to use up the embroidery thread too. So you can see me here again, just layering up that ribbon, just using double-sided tape to stick it down. Again, wet glue, perfectly fine, would probably last longer, be a bit more permanent than double-sided tape, but I find double-sided tape works fine. And also this size card, the kind of half A4 size, which I guess is what, A5? No, well, it'd be A5, A6? I don't know how it works. Anyway, they fit into the cheap envelopes you can buy from like Kmart for $3 for a pack of 10. You could also get, or $2 for a pack of 10. You can also get a lot, buy them in bulk online if you make a lot of cards. I don't make enough cards that I need to buy in bulk, but they certainly fit into those envelopes no problem, which is great. So there we go. We are nearly finished. I'm just going to add a couple more little bits. I think I add some... Yeah, so these are like iridescent stars which again are from Stampin' Up. I just had them in my stash trying to use them up. Adding the stars to the unicorn layout. And then I had these other cute little embellishments. They're like clear epoxy, that's the word I'm looking for. Epoxy water droplets. And I thought, oh, that totally works for the mermaid. So I add 3 of those to that layout, and then I'm pretty sure I'm done. I think. Let's have a look what I do now. But I think I'm done. I think that was the end. So yeah, super happy with how that all came together and how it looks. I think they're super cute. So you can sort of see me. Oh no, I know what I do now. I add some Wink of Stella. Gotta have the Wink of Stella. So if you don't know, the Wink of Stella is like I don't even know what the stuff inside it is, but it glitters. So it like puts a little clear, well, you can get coloured ones. This one's clear, a clear sort of shine onto your work with glitter. It's amazing. It's just subtle. This one's not, it's a bit old, and so it actually has a bit of glitter that like liquid kind of drops out of it. So it's not ideal, but I'm going to use it up and I love it. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go and check out Jess's opening video if you haven't already, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks guys. Bye.